Then the efficiency paradox. Technology offers the potential to make life easier, but added complexities increase both difficulty of user use and user frustration. Now, some of this cuts along generational lines. Right? I'm a dinosaur. It's hard for dinosaurs to learn new things. Some things dinosaurs don't do well at all. We were pretty good at picking leaves off trees at a certain level, but you know, when you got to go dig for stuff, the neck's a little long and it's a little bit awkward. Okay? So, then there's older people than me who wouldn't even qualify as dinosaurs, for whom, you know, these things are just really hard. Okay? Then there's this issue of how far out are we going to have to get before you guys actually get into the social-political situation strongly enough that all the structures change. It's one thing that you can use cell phones and computers and all the stuff that you guys can use with some facility because you're digital natives. It's altogether different how long it will take to get the culture to adopt them all, such that all of the structures change. Okay? I will give you an example. Aaron Schock is a Bradley graduate. Less than 10 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but let's say within the last decade. So he's not that far removed from you. Okay? He is the House representative for this district in Washington. He's the youngest member of the House. Okay? Youngest member. Aaron Schock is not ever going to vote in favor of any intellectual property reform that makes users' lives easier. He is going to vote for every proposal that makes big content more in control. See, and there's a break on what might happen if IP law doesn't change. Everything gets slowed down in some ways because of the law that says you can't remix, you can't this, you can't that, because it's in copyright law. So see, until you guys get, your generation gets old, gets through law school, gets elected, gets seniority and on the committees, how far down the road is that? And then, of course, you have to see what your orientation is once you get there. See, that's the other thing we don't know about all this new stuff, which goes into all of these ways of seeing things. Okay? This is the one thing that we consistently don't know. And it's been consistent for 100 years as long as we've been studying it. We don't know what you're going to do when you get out of school and have babies. We just don't know. We know what you do when you're kids. We know what you do when you're teenagers. We know what you do when you're college students. And then we know what adults do. And we know what old people do. But there just isn't really very good data on any of it that would indicate that you're going to take what you do in those early periods into what you do in those later periods, except a couple of isolated things. So, for example, there's a much older demographic than we ever figured in games. We thought all the gamers had quit, and the gaming demographic is way older than we thought. Okay? It's actually more female than we thought, which was a bit of a surprise. Okay? We didn't think there'd be any girls playing games after college. We didn't think there'd be any boys who play after about 28 or 29. And there's bunches. It was an eye-opener. Okay? On the other hand, you guys don't watch much television compared to the general population. Your TV time's down a little bit because you're busy. You're dating, you're going out, you're doing schoolwork, you're doing stuff. You don't spend much time on TV. But when you graduate, the data says you'll go up to just like the rest of America, which is around 7 hours a day. And there isn't any indication that you'll be any different. The only difference that we can tell at this point from any data is that you'll time shift it. And then probably watch more. Because that's what's happened so far. Okay? Everything's going to change. Oh, wait, until I've got a 9 to 5 job or a 8 to 3 job, whichever one you get, and you come home, and there's babies, and then there's not so babies, and a baby to go with them, and there's a significant other, and there's a mortgage, a car payment, insurance payment, school payment, books, whatever your recreation is, and at the end of all of that, you put your feet up and say, "Robot, bring me a beer." And hopefully the robot hasn't gotten into gender politics yet and just brings it to you. Okay? Now, is that what it's going to be like? We don't know. But I'll tell you what, if you look at the research data, new media use has gone up. Internet use is up 300 times a year, 300% each year, 120%, 150%. It's up all to an hour and a half a day, which is massive increase over what it was, which of course was almost nothing, right? Because it's new media. Television viewing has gone up from 4.5 hours a day when we started this mess up to almost 7. Okay? Yeah?
Couldn't you argue that internet use is, you get the information more efficiently, so time matters less?
You could argue that, but what does that have to do with how much TV I watch? I'm still watching 7 hours of TV a day. I mean, now what we don't know, again, there's a lot of stuff we don't know. Here's why it's so hard to make. We don't know how much of television will just migrate to digital networks. It may be that the internet becomes one big television. That may be the outcome. I mean, there's a segment of the population who would like it to go that way, right? There's a segment of the industries that would very much like all of this stuff to just get subsumed under what there was before. Big movies and big television. And it just becomes another way to deliver all of that content. And there's really nothing new about that at all, except that what would be new about it is it wouldn't be programmed in the same way. It would be pulled a little bit more. But of course it would send back information a little bit better too, wouldn't it? We might end up there, where really it's different than NBC and CBS and ABC, but not that much different. It's pretty much the content they make, pretty much what they want us to watch. The only difference is I get to watch it whenever I want. It doesn't have ads in it, but I give them all kinds of data in order to get that. Because every time I turn my DVR on, it talks back. Well, that's not exactly what we had in mind, was it? But that might be one of the outcomes. Hard to predict, isn't it? Newspapers are failing all over the country. New media is taking apart the old models. Just killing them off to beat the band. That might be what happens. Big difference between everything turns into a TV and killing off all the old media. So it's hard to make predictions. Okay? It's difficult to make predictions.